Hi, my name is Mike, and I work in web development for last 20 years. So I have some experience, and today I want to discuss AI media. Should you use AI media on your website or in your product in general? And I understand that for some people, that's not a question at all. They may say, I'm against AI. I don't want to substitute people with AI. Like if I need a picture, I will buy it from a photographer. If I need music, I will buy it from a musician, etc. And I understand this approach and I respect it. Honestly, when person makes the difference with their own money, when they say, okay, I could save money, but instead I will spend it, I completely respect that. So I'm not trying to convince you to start doing something else. That's up to you, obviously. But for those who is not sure, well, I hope my video will be helpful. So let's start with the benefits of AI generated media. First of all, cost. If you go to some free website, which has some free images like Pixabay, of course you can find the image, literally for free. The problem is, it's unlikely this image will be unique. So a lot of people use images from Pixabay. Some of my photos I uploaded there, they got tens of thousands downloads and they used a lot. Okay, so that's problem number one. Another problem, actually they may not be 100% legal. So imagine somebody uploads images which are not really theirs for whatever reason, I don't know why. Well, you will be kind of in trouble. So the free image, yes, it's always an option, but it's not a great option. What I mean that you cannot really rely on websites like Pixabay as a source of images. Yes, if you found it, great, you're lucky, but no one says you will. When you need an image, you need to create it somehow. Again, an old school would be hiring a photographer or buying it from some photo bank, some stock photos. Again, that may become costly. Not too much, of course, but for a small business, that would definitely be something they feel. And with photographer, that's a bit different. So if we talk about your own business, so you want to hire a professional photographer who would come to your place and he will take pictures of your office, your employees, your products, yeah, that's great. Do it. I mean, I'm not even saying anything against it. That's a great thing. First of all, you'll support like some local business. You will get the genuine photographs of your business. That's extremely important for website. If you want to build some trust, obviously. Again, if you have something to show. But as long as we talk about something generic, let's say you want to have some image of, I don't know, an animal or something like that, right? Or some people talking or something. Well, you most likely need to go and buy the picture. With AI, that's cheaper. You simply, have your $20 per month subscription in ChatGPT or even some free service, and you can generate image which will be, almost as real as a photo. So in that case, yes, you can easily afford the AI image, and that's a big benefit. Experiments. That's another topic. Because let's say you want to play with things. You want to have different images. Maybe you have different landing pages, you have like A/B testing or whatever. So you need not just, let's say, one picture, you need like multiple pictures. You want to try this experiment again and again in attempt to find the perfect thing. Here, AI definitely gives you way more opportunities. You can generate these images, because imagine buying image just like for a short period test, that might not be optimal financially. So again, for experiments, AI is great. With AI, you can create exactly what you want. So AI gives you flexibility. Because I often needed something I would not even be able to buy in any like stock photo bank. It just simply doesn't exist there. With AI, you just explain what you need, you get what you asked. So that's great. And speed, that's also important. Of course, if you buy an image, that's easier. But if you creating an image, if you hire a photographer, well, that will take more time. And well, I understand that may not be actually the common thing, because I used to own a news website and I still own another news website. And well, you sometimes need to illustrate some articles. And I often just would create an actual photograph for just one article by myself. Yes, I would maybe go outside or, find something what I can take a picture of, like at home. Like I remember how I found, I'm not like an active smoker, but I have cigarettes, and I had to illustrate the article about some business which was fined for selling like nicotine products to kids. Yes, I just took a picture myself and used it. But that took me 10 minutes. Well, with AI, you can get it way faster. So speed is another benefit of using AI. Okay, so that's what we have. Flexibility, cost, ability to experiment easily, and speed. That's the benefits of AI. Now, the downsides. What are the risks? Why you may not want to use AI images? So first of all, it's not genuine. And I already mentioned that before. If you want to show how your business works, try to create the media by yourself or hire a professional. I don't think that would be very expensive. Of course, you can even record photos and videos by yourself. You can use your cell phone. Maybe you or some friend of yours have a bit more professional camera. A lot of people like to photograph nature. So I assume if you need a good camera to take a few pictures, ask your friends and maybe you will find a person who will just do it for free for you. So with AI, obviously, you will not be able to create the photograph of your office, of your employees, to show your team. You can create something what may resemble it. Let's say that. And in my opinion, that's the biggest problem. It's not really a risk. It's your choice. You decided to do things a bit more simple. But on the other hand, you just may lose some appeal, especially to local customers. Now risks, which is more serious. First of all, copyright and ownership. So first of all, when you generate something with AI or with any other service, you need to make sure that whatever was generated does not violate someone else's legal rights, their copyright. And that's when things become tricky. AI may say, yes, whatever you generated belongs to you. But the problem is, are you sure that whatever AI generated is not very similar to something what actually was created by someone else? That's for me a big question. And honestly, that's always a dangerous thing because you never know. And you kind of don't have a way to prove it. Because even if picture was never published in the internet, it's a good question how I found it. But maybe just created something very similar and then some person comes and say, you know what? I actually took that picture, which is almost identical. It was on my camera. I shared it in Facebook. You may be in a very unpleasant position in that case. And of course, I would suggest a few measures to mitigate that problem. So if you need something very generic, try to be very specific about details and try to make these details kind of random. Again, it's not a legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. What I speak about laws is my understanding, how I feel about them. So it's always a better idea to verify things with your attorney or with AI. That's a joke. No, don't. Yeah. So try to be very specific and keep the dialogues. Don't delete them. So if something happens, at least you can prove that you just wanted to create something because, that's what you wanted. You asked, okay, for example, you want a picture of a lady riding a horse. Okay, you ask, generate me a picture of lady riding a horse. It will generate you something very generic. And this very generic most likely is based on hundreds or maybe thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands pictures of lady riding the horse. And let's be honest, not all of these pictures look unique. So you may, after all, get a picture which is too similar to some real picture. So start defining things. Okay, maybe choose some horse breed which is not very common. Maybe say something about appearance of the lady which would put her aside from what would be the, default look of the lady who rides a horse based on AI understanding. Again, that's just my assumption that how I would work with AI to make sure that this image is not like super generic. Even better approach, and I strongly recommend it if you want to use AI. Try to upload some sources, some photo sources, something what you own. Because in that case, still, it's not a guarantee, and I'm not a lawyer, but at least you will always be able to say that it's some sort of rework of what you've provided. For example, you can go outside, grab your camera, take a picture of the horse, and upload that horse, and say, I want lady riding that horse. See, that would be some sort of uniqueness added into your request. Actually, very significant uniqueness, I think. So that's my idea. That's how I would try to mitigate that risks. But when it's super critical, obviously, maybe AI is not your choice. Think about it. So the next problem is very similar. It's likeness risks. Again, back to the lady riding the horse, right? There are, I think, 8 billion of people in this world. And we have different races. So obviously, not every person can look alike the rest of 8 billion. But let's say we look for Caucasian woman in her 30s. So how many white women in their 30s are in this world? A lot. Hundreds of millions. And even more because every woman who is 40, at some point she was 30. And while we may not have identical clones of us, we definitely have people who look very similar. And imagine that, likeness with some person is so close, this person starts to ask questions. Most likely legal questions. And again, you can say, okay, that's what ChatGPT or something else generated. Will it work? Yeah, I think it might. But again, I'm not a lawyer. But anyways, most likely you'll have to at least remove that image. And again, depends how you use this image. If it's on your website, that's simple. You just create a new image with AI, I guess, I don't know. Or, create a real photograph and you put it there, not a big deal. Let's say you put this image on billboard. And actually that's your nationwide campaign. And a nation is a big nation, like United States. So you have billboards all over the country, and now you need to replace them immediately. Of course, if you run that campaign, you definitely have money. And I would say you should spend that money on a real model. So you will get some sort of model release signed by the model. You will be able to use this image. And here is an interesting idea. Again, I will remind you that I'm not a lawyer, but I would suggest that approach. If you have person, for example, yourself or your spouse who would agree to be used that way, you can use your photo as the foundation for creation of the model. Of course, you don't have to say something like create exactly like me, right? You may just use yourself as a basis. The same way I suggested to use a horse you can photograph when you just leave your house. And again, I just live in a place where it's not a big deal to photograph a horse when you leave your house. So I meant what I meant. Okay, I understand that not everyone can do that, but with yourself or your mother, your sister, whoever volunteers to help you, take a picture of them and then, don't say beautify my sister. Your sister will not like that. But you can say, you know what, this is my sister. Please create a cousin of my sister who is very beautiful. Well, that's a different story, right? Maybe your sister will still not be very happy, but at least you're not like messing with her image. You create some different image which just resembles her, and well, she will not be offended, I guess. But again, I'm not a psychologist as well. So that's my idea. Likeness is potential issue. If you create something what you definitely don't want to change, then either try to avoid showing the entire face, because, well, just show kind of like lower part, for example. Again, it won't work for every solution, but sometimes it will be okay. It will not look weird. Or just use some real person as a prototype for the model you create. Again, you can change everything about that person, but at the same time, something will be similar. And you have the basis, your contribution into creation of that image, not just something you asked AI to create. Especially, again, if you selling something, if it's part of the advertisement, that's when the unexpected likeness with the real person will become a very dangerous thing. Well, the next risk with AI is more like reputational. And again, some people just may hate you for the fact you used AI. Because again, you could hire a photographer, you could hire a model, and they will not care that you cannot afford like $1,000-$2,000 to do all this, right? They will say, yeah, you should. Well, if you're trying to hide that you used AI, that's when it becomes tricky. Some people will try to find AI anyways. I mean, some people kind of unfortunately became a bit obsessed with it, and well, they may find it even if you did not use AI. But even if you used it, you can try to hide it. I'm not saying it's the best strategy, but some images you can for sure say AI. First of all, they are too polished, too generic, and too bland. I would say that. Yes, they are not something you will remember a minute later. And again, you may actually need exact that type of picture for your website. If it's some decorative element, like on our website, we use similar images as a blurred, darkened background. It's like, yeah, I mean, that would be a bit complicated to create, the real image just for that. Again, it would not worth it. So again, that's when AI becomes useful. But at the same time, if there are any mistakes, then people will notice them. And again, some people may say, I don't care. And I personally believe it's a majority of people. Some people will say, oh, that's ugly, that's weird, that will not work with them. On the other hand, if the image looks too generic, and actually it applies not just to AI, but also to stock photos, if the image looks too generic, you kind of lose credibility. Because people see it and they don't understand, like, is it a real business? Do they have anything to show? Is it just something generated by AI completely? Is it some scam? Is it some chain, and some people would say, yeah, would prefer to buy from some local company instead of the chain. So again, that's when the generic images may hurt your business, not necessarily AI generic images, any generic images. With AI, you can customize. And as I said before, try to do that. Try to be very precise about the details of the picture. And that would actually, increase the quality. That would make this, even AI generated image, look unique. However, there is another issue with AI, and that's the quality. So if we talk about normal website, usually you can create image with a proper resolution, which will be acceptable, but it will definitely be lower than if you take a real photograph. And especially if you start cropping this image and you don't need like the entire image or something, then after all, you may end up with a relatively small image. And let's say you created the AI image, and actually this thing may change in the future, but right now, when you edit it with AI, so AI generated your image and you say, by the way, change this and this, you will get the image of a worse quality. So the quality will be degrading with every regeneration. So for me, it's not an issue. I generated the image, and then I can just go and, use Photoshop to do whatever I want, to change anything I want. And yes, I can use AI to create a new image completely and then combine them again. But I'm comfortable with Photoshop. If you're not, if you're using AI and only AI to make changes in the image, you may end up with image of a lower quality. And sometimes it's visible. And now the last but not least, again, I'm not a lawyer, and depends where you live and how you plan to use it. It may be different reality, but let's say you use AI to show your product. Well, that might not be a good idea. Depends on the laws. Some may claim that you kind of do some sort of a false advertisement. You show the things which are not real. Maybe the quality of your product is lower or it looks worse or whatever, but someone may raise all these questions. So when you create something, again, when it's simply a decoration for your website, for example, that's one story. When you try to create with AI something what definitely had to be photographed, like your actual products, that may be a different story, from legal perspective and how customer will see you. Because if they figure out that, let's say you produce something, but instead of showing the actual thing, you show AI generated example, well, they may not trust you at all. So be careful about that. So what is the conclusion? Definitely, I'm not saying something like don't use AI, because that would be hypocritical. I use AI and I believe it's great. The only problem that there are some limitations how you can use it safely from legal standpoint and from your public image standpoint. So be careful. Don't try to use AI to mislead people. But as long as we talk about decorations and you're careful with likeness and copyrights, then most likely that should be fine. So thanks for watching. If you have different opinion or if you agree with me, please write your opinion in the comment section, and thanks. I will see you in the next video.